Hi, everyone. John here with PT and Dan with Salient Training. How are we, Dan?
That's right. I'm doing great.
Excellent. Excellent. So I was thinking back and I had a screaming example of this early on in my career, but there's that element of what we think we know in a sales conversation. And you can't necessarily cover every potential point or outcome. We talk a lot about these aspects where somebody makes a comment and there are times you need to say, hey, I'll answer that in a minute, but can you tell me where that's coming from? I'm not ignoring the question. I just want to understand what's bringing it out for you.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, early on in my career, the example I had was I was in a meeting. I had a trainer there with me. I go through the whole thing, and the trainer caught the mistake I made very early on. He let it go because, in his opinion, no matter what we did, the person wasn't going to buy. And I was good with that.
Wow. Okay.
I'm learning. I'm trying to figure things out. But I get to the end and I make a comment, and the prospect says, "Yeah, but none of that matters to me." I'm like, it came out what matters to him, and I went completely in the wrong direction. And after I sat with the trainer, he said, "So let's go back and see where you flawed." And he explained why he let it go. He didn't address it at the time and all this other stuff. And I was good with it. But he said, right here was the fork in the road. And you went left thinking you knew, and your prospect went right. And from that point forward, you guys did this.
Hmm.
It's never going to come together. So you talk a little bit about being careful on what you think you know and clarifying and some of those pieces that come out in pretty much every sales conversation.
That's what makes sales so much fun, right? It's
Yeah.
always different. It's
Always
it's
new.
not always the same thing. So
Yeah.
in my world, I meet with an owner who says, "Hey, my salespeople are not prospecting." What a lot of people would do, well, let me tell you about our prospecting training sessions and what it looks like and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
But what if you sat back and said, well, tell me more? Open-ended questions.
Yep.
Open-ended statements gets the buyer to start talking. And what if in doing that you find out, so you get to the ultimate question, which is, how long has this been going on? And they say 3 years, and you go, okay, did you hire them like this or did you make them like this?
Yep.
Oh, because there's the zinger, because either way the owner sunk, and I mean that gently. And
Yes.
what you find out was, it's not necessarily the salesperson's fault, it was the owner's fault, and the owner didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And so if I go in with this preconceived idea that whatever they throw at me, that's the problem, I'm going to miss the whole picture. So just sit back, relax, ask open-ended questions, and get really down to the root of the problem.
Yeah. When I started in sales, somebody told me what became known as the so what clause in the
Mhm.
conversation. Until you can answer the question, so what, you're not done, is how I was trained. You did some training here with us just yesterday, and we were talking through, and somebody would say, "Yeah, well, that means this," and you're like, and you're trying to get them to the bottom, to the root of things, and not just hang out on the surface of what we think we know. Get to what we really need to know. So
Totally agree.
changes it all. All right, everybody. See you
Sure
again
does.
tomorrow.
Take care.